So let's go over questions now in DME. So the first question here, what does rap mean in reading? Well, this is something that we really need to know, because when it comes to multiple choice and you want to be guessing, it will be very bad because some things are going to be looking so much similar. So the rap strategy of reading, the R means read, the A means ask, the P means put. So when you read the text, you need to ask yourself questions, and then the answers to those questions you're asking them, put them in writing. So that is the rap strategy. Question 2, what does reader mean in reading? So that means of question 1, the answer is A. What does reader mean in reading? R-I-D-A. So again, this is another reading strategy where the R is the meaning read. So when you get to read the text, you need to imagine what you've read, and then after imagine, you describe it to yourself, and then you can add other ideas. So the answer is D. And then question 3, what does SQ3R mean in reading? Again, this strategy SQ3R, first you get survey the text. Surveying is just having a broad understanding of the text, and then you are going to formulate questions from the survey that you've made, maybe looking at the titles. You construct and make those titles in question form, and then you are going to read. When you get to read, try to remember by also using the questions that you formulated, and then get to review. So get to review. If you are able, in the reviewing stage, you get to see if you are able indeed to remember what the actual text is about, and if the questions that you formulated and the answers that you put down are in line with the text itself. So the answer then is D. Question number 4 here, what are the 5 S's in reading? Now when it comes to reading, these 5 S's, of course there are a lot of S's, and so that's why we just need to know here. The first thing that you get to do in reading the 5 S's, you get to skim your work. To skim is basically to just get to go through to determine whether you're going to be interested in reading or not, and then you scan. Scanning is reading to just check for many things that you want. For example, you want consequences of drug abuse. So where there are causes of drug abuse, you not read there because you're not interested. You're interested in the consequences. So just going to specific text, and then you get to select. So select what you are going to be reading or what you're interested in reading, and then slap. Now you get to read more with an understanding, and then you get to summarize. So the answer is C. Question 5, what are the 4 main reasons for non-fictional text? Well, we need again to know, for any non-fictional text, the main reasons for you reading it is either for information, so to inform, or to persuade, to describe an incident, or just to explain an incident, and then to instruct. So therefore the answer is B. Inform, persuade, describe, and instruct. It's really not to educate, not to entertain, not to encourage, not to improve anything. Question number 6, what are the 3 stages in the reading process? When you're talking about the reading process, it has got stages. So this is a process, remember. So reading is a process of interaction between the text and the reader, and there is pre-reading, during reading, and then after reading stages. So those are the stages in the reading process. So therefore the answer is B. Then question number 7, explain the low level and high level processes in reading. Well, when you get to talk about low level, this has just to do with you being able to recognize the words which are being used. How are the words being used? Now, high level processes, now are you able to construct meaning? What is the text all about? So that is when you are getting to read. So remember, we are saying reading is an interaction, the process of interaction. So one of the important words when it comes to reading is process and also interactive. So it's interactive processes because you get to interact with the text that you are reading. So therefore the answer is A. Lower level processes include word recognition, and also higher level processes is just what the text is about. Question number 8, what is information source and resource? What is information source and resource? Well, A source is where something gets to start. So even with information source is where the information originates. This can be a person, a place, or a thing. But a resource includes where the information is placed, the medium through which it can be accessed. So that is the difference. But though sometimes these two words are used interchangeably, but the definition is information source is written is where the things or the information is going to originate, can be a person, a place, or a thing. And information resource is characterized by the information they cover, the medium they are placed in, and the tools through which they can be accessed. If we look at option B, it is direct opposite of option A. Information resource refers to where the information originates. This can be a person, a place, a thing. So that's not resource, that's source. So B is disqualified. C, information source refers to academic institutions which meet physically. Really not. D, information resource refers to the academic institution which meet physically, while information source refers to books. So that also gets to be disqualified. So the answer is A for 8. Question number 9. Pictures are an effective means of learning. Is it true? Is it false? Mainly or sometimes? So yes, pictures are an effective means of learning. Very, very much important, because when it comes to pictures, you are able to learn more. Why? Because you are able to see. So you can be able to see what is happening. That is why pictures are an effective means of learning. Let's consider question 10. Explain and give examples of tertiary sources of information. So basically the sources of information, we've got primary, secondary, and tertiary. Now the primary, these are the original discoveries or original ideas. Secondary, these are interpretations and evaluations of primary source. And then tertiary, these are summaries, things down that have been more explained. They include work like in a textbook, more summarized. So if we consider option A, tertiary resources are usually the first formal appearance. Just the statement first formal appearance disqualifies it. So it's not the first formal appearance. That is primary. And then option B, tertiary resource are interpretations and evaluations. Really not, because when you talk of interpretation and evaluation, that is secondary. And then tertiary source often provide data in a convenient form or provide information within a context which can help the researcher interpret. That is true. Examples: encyclopedia, textbooks, and encyclopedia. Yes. And then option D, tertiary sources provide fact sorry, let me just get to see this. Facts and brief descriptions of key information, present summaries and general information. The description is very true when it comes to the definition for tertiary sources of information. But let's get to look at the examples. Interviews, analyze field data, original experiment. So these examples outline the examples of primary sources. Therefore, the answer is option C, since the question was asking for the what is tertiary and the examples. On D, the examples are not true. Question number 11. What are access tools? Services and platforms where information will be found. Physical places where you get what you want. Online platforms where games are found for leisure. Pamphlets and books which you use to study. So when you're talking about access tools, these are just online platforms where you're going to find or access information. For example, Google or online libraries. So those are access tools. So the answer is A. Question 12. What type of information source review the actual experiment which were made? Primary, secondary, tertiary, or the above. So we said primary sources review the actual experiment which was made. Question 13. What type of source of information shows interpretations and evaluations of original data? So that one is secondary when we're talking about interpretations and evaluations. Question 14. What type of information source gives the summary and general information? Well, a summary is, so we've got tertiary, quaternary, primary, secondary. So when it comes to general and just summaries, that is tertiary source of information. That is option A. Let's consider question 15. Textbooks, dictionaries, and reference books are examples of that source of information. Textbooks, dictionaries, and reference books are examples of So these we can see they contain summarized information, textbooks, dictionaries, reference books. So these are tertiary sources of information. That is option C. How does academic and popular information differ? Option A. Academic information is real while popular information is fake. Academic information is written by trained journalists while popular information is written by Facebook lovers. Academic information is written for academic purposes while popular information is written for pleasure by experts. Academic information is written by experts and peer reviewed by scholars in that field, while popular information is written by anyone and not peer reviewed. So if we get to look at option A, information academic information is real, popular information is fake. This is necessarily not true. At times even popular information can be real. It's just that it can be written by anyone instead of just academic, experts in that field, and it's not peer reviewed when it comes to popular information. So option B, academic information is written by trained journalists. Really not. Academic information is written by experts, not journalists. Journalists just get to report things. So these journalists are examples of those who get to write in popular information. Academic information is written for academic purposes, while popular information is written for pleasure. Those are true, but popular information is written by experts. Popular information is not written by any expert. An expert in what? So if you are talking about a story about love, who is an expert in love? So D, academic information is written by experts and peer reviewed by scholars in that field, while popular information is written by anyone and is not peer reviewed. So this is correct. Option D is correct. Let's consider 17. Information presented by journalists, students, and popular authors is called academic information, popular information, research information, inspirational information. So that kind of information presented by journalists, students, and popular authors is called popular information. Question 18. Which of the following are examples of types of information resources? Types of examples of information resources. Option A, newspaper, magazines, not websites. Well, information resources include also websites. We are able to get information from there. So option A is not correct because it says not websites. And then option B, academic journal, patent, conference proceedings. These are all examples of information resources. And then option C, people, text, things like a stove. Well, what information can you get from a stove? So not true. So the answer is B. 19. What is literature research? Making a new discovery, finding what other people did in the field you are focusing, reading the literature in English book, using a telescope to see what's in space at night. So when you're talking about literature research, you just get into research more and find what other people did in the field that you are focusing. So that is option B. For example, you are a medical student, you want to find out more about this disease. You are going to use the information which was already found out. You are not discovering something new. Let's consider question number 20. Dash enables the user to find the same document in main library when they log to their account from a different device. Dash enables the user to find the same document in main library when they log to their account from a different website. So saving, scincing, boosting, connecting. What can we say? Think of it for a second. So scincing enables the users to find the same document. So scincing is simply keeping items up to date. So when you keep items up to date, even if you get to use a different device, you are able to get your documents from mainly library. So you can think of also just a phone. When you get to use a different phone, you can log into your Facebook account or something like that. And then question 21, name the 3 stages in literature research. 3 stages in literature research. What can we say? Think of it a moment. So question 1, option 1, simple search, snowballing, systematic search, read, apply, publish, discover, write, publish, purpose, discovery, writing. So when you're talking about a literature research, there are basically three stages. That is a simple search, snowballing, and systematic search. So a simple search, this is where you just get to search maybe for a definition or a cause. And then snowballing, this is following a thread. So maybe if you search for a definition, what is blood, you are going to see other options are going to come: causes of maybe blood pressure, something that gets to relate to blood. So you get to follow that. You punch there again, it gets to take you to other information. That is snowboarding or following a thread. And then systematic search is searching for something like more accurately. For example, you can use a reference book when you want to get some information. So just put that reference and you enter everything, and then the information is going to come. You are searching like more in detail about something and it is specific. Question 22. What is snowballing in literature research? Making searching easy, following a thread, search done after a systematic search, B and C. Well, when you are talking of snowballing, it's simply following a thread. So it's not really done after a systematic search. When you get first to do a simple search is going to lead you to do now a more systematic search. So for example, you are just searching for something very simple, for example, blood. And then systematic search will enable you now to go into details to understand more. That search that you are going to do for you to be able to get more and retrieve more information. But snowboarding is just going to, if you get to search for something and then you start following threads. Well, an example that I should have stated here instead of stating it on systematic search is snowboarding. On snowboarding, you've got following reference texts. You can just follow. You already have a reference, so just type it and then you are able to follow it. Not necessarily that is following using a reference book is systematic search. No. So when you use a reference book, that will be snowboarding because you are following. It is just following a thread. An example is already been given references and you just want to follow them. Let's consider now question 23. What are Boolean operators and their use? They include and, or, not, and used to discover new items. They include and, or, not, and used to strengthen relevance ranking in a search. They include and, or, not, and used when you want to retrieve your documents. They include and, or, and not, and used when you want to study a book. So think of it. What can you put as the answer for that one? So when you're talking about Boolean operators and, or, not, they are used to strengthen the relevance ranking in a search. For example, you want to understand about atoms and elements. So when you put and between atom and element, you search atom and element. The information that is going to come is going to be the intersection of atoms and elements. When you use or, for example, search atoms or elements, the information that is going to come is going to be a union for elements and atoms. But if you search atoms, not elements, the information that is going to come is just going to be on atoms and not elements. So it strengthens the relevance ranking so that a lot of useless data is not going to come as you get to search. Question 24. During literature research, what can you use to narrow your search results, making the search more specific? During literature research, what can you use to narrow your search results, making the search more specific? Parentheses and wordcuts, commas and full stop, specific words, searching speed. So when you want to narrow your search to make your results more specific, you use parentheses and wordcuts. Examples that we can talk about, for example, when you want to search something and then you put that in these marks, you put what you want to search here and then you put them in these are examples of parentheses and wordcuts. The information is going to be more specific instead of bringing even what is outside. Or for example, you can search for something and then you get to put it in brackets like that. Or you can search for something, you put a question mark there, or you put even this symbol. This gets to more like limit the narrow your search by limiting even what is useless so that you can just get to have the information of interest. Question: what is the work of reference management tools? What's the work of reference management tools? What can you say? Help users to create and manage list of references, to get a list of references from your friend when researching, to help establish references and write for you when tired. None of the above. So when you talk of reference management tools, they help users to create and manage lists of references. An example is Mendeley. Okay. Question 26. Why should you use reference management software? It makes managing academic references effortless. Managing and organizing references can be overwhelming if done manually. Both A and B, none of the above. What can we say? Why should you use reference management software? Well, when you are using reference management software, you are going to make just the management of academic references much effortless. You do no much work yourself. And then also B, managing and organizing references can be overwhelming if done just manually. You are just organizing these references yourself. That can be overwhelming. That is why you get to use reference management software. So both A and B. 27. What is Mendeley? It is a tool for search. It is an analog referencing book. It is a free referencing management tool, or of the above. When you're talking about Mendeley, it is a free reference management tool. When you get what you want to manage your references, that tool is one of them you can use freely. Okay. 28. What type of pronoun should be avoided in the formal writing, as it shows that you are commanding the reader? First person pronoun, second person, third person, both A and B, meaning first person and second person. So first person pronouns include I. And then when we talk of second person pronouns, you are talking of you, yours. Third person pronouns can be theirs, his. So when you use second person pronouns, it shows a command in formal writing. So for example, you are saying you should do this. Now you are writing a formal writing. So it shows command. That is why we don't use second person pronouns in formal writing. Question 29. What is the meaning of redundance in formal writing? Avoid repetition, avoid insults, avoid shouting, avoid a lot of words. Well, redundance is avoiding repetition. So don't repeat one word or one sentence, one phrase. You say it in this form, you put it in another form, you repeat it in another form. That is redundance. So answer is A. Which one is the British form of the following words? Flavor, color, and mum. So what is the British form? The British words contain a U, and the American forms just contain a O without a U. So the first option, we've got flavor with a U, color with U, mum with O. So this mum is not British, it's American. And then here, this flavor is American. So this one is correct, British. And then here, this is just American. So the answer there is C. In what part of a letter do you put the statement dear sir or madam? Title, salutation, complimentary clause, print name. Well, in a part, so the title, this is where you get to put like your reference. Salutation, dear sir or madam. Complimentary clause, yours faithfully or yours sincere or yours friendly. Print name, this is where now you get to write your name in capital letters after signing. So the answer is salutation. If you start an application letter with Dear Mr. Mwanza, how do you end? So when you, in an application letter, when you start with the name of the person you are writing to, you need to end with yours sincerely in the complimentary clause. But if you started with Dear Sir or Madam, you need to end with yours faithfully. So the answer is C. Question 3. What is contained in the complimentary clause of a letter? Sender signature, sender's address, receiver's address, yours friendly. So in the complementary clause, that is where you put the yours friendly, yours faithfully, yours sincerely. So the answer is D. What does the print name of a letter show? Sender's name in small letters, sender's signature, sender's name in capital letters, yours faithfully. So when you are showing the print name, this is where you get to put the sender's name, the person who is writing that letter. Now you get to use capital letters. That is the advised one. So it is sender's name in capital letters. That is C. What do the letters scrap stand for in writing the body of a letter? Survey, complete, read, apply, pause. Situation, complication, resolution, action, politeness. Scenario, compute, report, act, prove. Scheme, create, read, add, put. So what can you say? Well, the letters scrap in the many body of letter writing represents for situation. First, you need to determine the situation that you are writing about, and then you get to see if there are any complications. Those are the problems that are there that you need to talk about. And then if there are some problems, now you go to resolution. What are your suggestions? What should be done? What are your suggestions for that problem to end? And then now the action, now that is what is going to be done. And then make sure that you are always polite. That is the P. So that is scrap. Question 36. On the tenses or principles of a letter, what does coherence mean? Being honest and straightforward, saying thank you always, being able to connect paragraphs, being able to proofread. So coherence is the ability to be able to connect paragraphs well and also sentences. So the answer is C. Should the name of the writer be included on the sender's address in a letter? Should the name of the writer be included on the sender's address in a letter? Yes, no, depends, or always. So when you're talking about the name of the sender, you get to put it at the end, at the very end of the letter, not in the sender's address. So no, you don't put it there. What's the other name of a CV? Resume, curriculum vitae, notice, agenda. What do you think? Think of it for a second. Well, the other name of a CV is a resume. This question is not saying what CV stands for. CV stands for curriculum vitae, but the other name for a curriculum vitae is a resume. That is why the best answer would be option A, not B. 39. Why is a resume written? In other words, why do you write a CV? A document showing one's personal details, a document that is attached on an application letter, a document that explains why you need the job, both A and B. So a resume is written to tell more about your personal details, and it is attached on an application letter. So a resume doesn't explain why you need a job. So it is both A and B. Question 40. Why is a memorandum written? Why is a memo written? A document used within an organization and usually on one subject. A document used within an organization and covers many topics. A document sent to Dme1115 students from the department to communicate the date of a test, both A and C. Well, a memorandum covers only one topic mostly, and it is used for a specific purpose sent to a group that has got a similar problem, or a group that is more of the same nature. For example, DME students can receive a letter about the DME test. So A and C are correct. A document that covers many topics that is sent is not a memo, it's a notice. What name of a circular? Resume, notice, CV, report. Well, what do you say? So a resume, the other name for a resume is a notice. Question 42. A statement written to participants so they can send the items of the agenda is called resume, circular, CV, letter. What do you say also on this one? what do we call a statement that is written to participants so they can send items with the agenda. So you don't write a resume to participants so that they can send items with the agenda. It's not a CV, it's not a letter, it is a circular or a notice.